Hello friends, I'm Rosa, welcome. So, I've been gone for a little bit. I unfortunately got sick again, so ignore this and also the fact that I look tired. I feel like my body has aged 10 years in the last month because I've been sick twice. I'm so over it. I just wanna go back to normal and just have fun and talk about books. Okay, so today though, because I know that there's readers out there who prefer single POV fantasy books or romance books for that matter. I decided to go through my library and see which books I had that were, if not like 100%, like completely 100% single POV, then at least like 95% single POV. That said, I might have I think most of these, with the exception of one book, is actually just single POV, but I know that there's one of them that has like little between chapters POVs from another, or between chapters, how do you explain what this is? I'll tell you when I get to it. So that's why I have 11 books for you guys. They will all be linked to in the description box down below if you want to go check them out. But I'm gonna just quickly summarize what they're about and also let you know if I've read the sequel, because sometimes sequels do actually get dual point of views. I'll let you know if I've read the sequels though, because sometimes sequels do get dual point of views or more than two. So there's some of them that I can't really tell you if the sequel has a second or third or fourth point of view as well. And for some of them, the sequels are not even out yet, so. But let's get started. Let's hope for the best, right? Let's hope for the best. We're starting out with Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, which is it's not a sequel, but it is like a companion series to Caraval, which does have, it's funny because the first one is from one sister's point of view, and then for the second book it changes to another sister. I believe they're just single point of view though, but I can't actually fully remember. This though, up until the last book, I think, is at least single point of view. If there's a little bit from Jax's side, it's not a whole lot though. So, and this is a lovely trilogy as well. I will say I was not overly fond of the third one. It's not a bad book by any means. It's just that especially the second book is like close to YA perfection. And so I didn't feel like the third book could live up to it, or did live up to it. But in this series we follow Evangeline Fox, who is a cutie. She's an absolute cutie. And she is just, she loves love, right? And she's been in love with this guy for, I don't know if ever, basically. And so when he gets, or is about to get married, he gets engaged to like her kind of sister or something. And that means Evangeline is heartbroken because they were supposed to end up together. Like, what is he doing with her? So she decides to go to one of the fates in this world, who are like, they're not gods per se, but let's just call them gods, right? Because they have different abilities, and she decides to contact the one who's called Jax. He's the Prince of Hearts. He's not necessarily super trustworthy, but Evangeline is, I don't want to call her naive because that's not nice. But she's definitely, she thinks very fondly of people without necessarily, she has a very positive mindset. Let's put it like that. She really wants to trust people, okay. And so when she makes a deal with Jax, it doesn't necessarily go the way that she planned or the way that she thought it was gonna go. And because Jax is not trustworthy at all. He's a fun one. You never know where you have Jax. And that's kind of where the story goes, but also all of a sudden we end up in some other place and there's a ball and there's a prince as well, and Evangeline is obsessed with the prince and it's a whole thing. Okay, so Once Upon a Broken Heart though, also magic. We got magic in this. It's so cute. I love it. YA romantasy, I would say, because I'm pretty sure the romance plots are very integral to the plot of the story. Like, it doesn't really work without it. Then I also have, keep in mind, I have not read the sequels to this, but I know that the first one here is definitely a single point of view book where we follow Mia. Your name is Mia, right? I feel like your name would be Mia. Sometimes it's difficult to remember all these characters' names. Mia! Right. Mia is essentially, okay, so this is adult fantasy as well. Just want to say, very bloody. There's a lot of blood and violence in this. Mia is, in short, out to get revenge for or on the people that killed her family. And so she ends up in like a school for assassins where nobody's trustworthy. You can't really trust anybody. It's filled with backstabby people, but I guess that's what happens when you gather people who are assassins into one place. Like, they're all kind of like, do I stab you today or do I stab you tomorrow? You know the vibe, right? We've all been there, right? Especially because to actually get accepted into this school, or it's called a church, but whatever, school for assassins, you actually have to prove that you are an assassin. Like, you can't just be like kind of like plain assassin. No, you have to be an assassin. So, and there's a lot like going on with politics a little bit as well in this. Not like so much politics talk, but people who are in power. As in, like, we're not talking about politics themselves, but the powerful people that may or may not be targets. Politicians and, like, you know, people in power. So it's a lot like distrusting institutions as well and stuff like that. I don't know. It's cool. I was sucked into this, and I love the way it was written as well, because so I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of footnotes in my books, because I feel like sometimes they get a little bit too like on the nose, like they get a little bit too the stuff in them is a little bit too obvious. But this is, and whenever there's a footnote in this, it's just extra information that you wouldn't necessarily need to read, but you probably should anyway. But you don't necessarily need to read them. It's just like inputs of information, like world building, a little bit of lore as well, and there's a lot of that. Not like too much, but there's some pretty long footnotes. Now, and this starts right here, right? So a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun read, and I still have not read the sequel, and that's terrible. But killers loose within the church's halls. Oh right, yeah. Someone's murdering the assassins, by the way. Mia sets out to find out what's going on, because Mia does not want to get murdered. She has some revenge to execute. So I feel like that was a good choice of word, execute. The bloody secrets of Mia's past return to haunt her, and a plot to bring down the entire congregation is unfolding in the shadows she so loves. Oh, and there's a shadow cat in this as well. How cool is that? A shadow cat. Pretty cool. We do like Mr. Kindly. Does he have a name in the first one? I don't actually remember. Then we have A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. Did I forget to say Nevernight is by J. Kristoff. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, though. This is a YA fantasy, some mystery vibes to this as well, a little bit scary at times. There is also a romance subplot, and we follow pretty much only the lead girl in this, whose name is Effie. Oh yeah, it does have like kind of dark fairy tale vibes now and then as well, I feel. So this book is about Effie as she is, she goes to, is it called uni? I don't remember. I just blow my nose and now it looks like someone punched me in the face. It's fine. She really wanted to be an English literature student. However, there's a lot of misogyny and sexism happening in this world, and women are not allowed into that study. So she is studying to become an architect instead. Which I don't know, in real life, I feel like architect is definitely more prestigious than, this is not my personal opinion, by the way. I just know that the requirements to get accepted into architecture school is a lot higher than English, which is kind of funny, but it's fine. So she's studying to become an architect instead because that's okay. It's kind of like, there's a lot of misogyny and sexism in this. So like, even though she is an architecture student, she's not necessarily welcome, you know? Okay. So she decides to participate in this competition. The prize is that you get to suggest, I think, or like come up with a renovation plan for this dead author's house that's basically falling apart. And Effie is obsessed with this author, by the way. Like, Effie knows everything about this author, has read all of his works. She is obsessed. So she's like, I need to win this competition, and then she does. So she's sent off there. There's this English lit guy who's studying, obviously with the author here being like a major classics author in this universe. He's quite central to both Effie's interests, but also English lit student is looking into this author's works as well. He's there because something's kind of weird about this author. Effie's there because she needs to renovate or make up a plan to renovate this house. And then they start talking and they're not necessarily getting along very well, but they do come up with a plan together to write because they find some texts and stuff and something's like not really making sense with this author's works. So they decide to come up with a plan to write an essay or an article or whatever the right term for that is on this author and the questionable texts and works that he's done. It's a whole thing. See, it's kind of funny because it says, as the two rival students investigate the reclusive author's legacy, but the thing is they're not really necessarily like rival students because they're in two different fields. She is an architecture student, he's an English lit student, so they can't really be rivals, but they do definitely have like that dynamic with each other. And then it says, piecing together clues through his letters, books, diaries, they discover that the house's foundation isn't the only thing that can't be trusted. So it's definitely, it does have like an aura of mystery to it, and I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed this book so much. I thought it was great. I flew through it, binged it, loved it so much. This is the All-Grade edition, by the way, just in case you're wondering. This is not what it, okay, actually, yeah, this is what it looks like. There you go. You might know this cover a little bit better. So, but this is a lovely one. Also very much single POV. Another one, and I cannot recommend this enough, Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, which is an adult fantasy with a romance subplot or two in there possibly, I don't know. But in this one, it's based off of, is it Chinese? I think it's Chinese legends. Inspired by the legend of Chang'e the Moon Goddess, which is from China. We follow the daughter of the moon goddess, so the daughter of Chang'e. Chang'e is, like mentioned, she's the moon goddess. She was exiled from the world and placed onto the moon in this world because she ended up drinking an immortality potion that was given to her then husband. She drank it when she was pregnant, so pregnant with our lead girl who is Xingyin, or lead woman. Starts out as a girl, turns into a woman. It's a bit of a long one, this one. And so nobody in the, what we call the Celestial Kingdom, which is where Chang'e came from, or no, she didn't. She was just a mere human. She did not live in the Celestial Kingdom because that's where the immortals live. But anyway, the Celestial Kingdom Emperor is the one who sent Chang'e to the moon. They don't know in the Celestial Kingdom, they don't know that Xingyin exists. Her presence has been kept a secret throughout her entire life. But the thing is, Xingyin is born, because she's born an immortal, she's born with magic. And this magic, when it flares up, it kind of sends out signals. And so she's been suppressing her magic throughout her entire life. And then one day she just can't anymore. And so something happens. Her magic kind of does like a burst thing, and that instantly sends out signals to the Celestial Kingdom that, hey, something's going on the moon. Maybe we should send someone up there to check on them. And so they do, and Xingyin has to leave. She flees, she ends up in the Celestial Kingdom. Nobody knows who she is though. She ends up befriending the Emperor's son, who probably has like an actual title, but I can't remember what it is. And it doesn't say in the synopsis. The Emperor's son. We're gonna call him the Emperor's son. She ends up befriending him. She also ends up training to become an archer, and she's sent on a lot of missions because basically Xingyin finds out that if she completes enough missions, she kind of gets like a favor from the Emperor, and she's thinking, well, if I get this favor, I can use it to set my mom free. Like, she'll be excused. She'll no longer be stuck on the moon. And so it's about Xingyin's adventures and relationships and friendships and all of that happening in the Celestial Kingdoms. So we only follow Chang'e's, oh, not Chang'e, We only follow Shingen's point of view in this one and also the sequel. There is a collection of novellas as well where you follow different points of views, but you don't have to read them. I will say though, if you like the duology, I would highly recommend also reading the collection of novellas because they do give like a different insight, and also there's a nice epilogue at the end of the novellas as well. But the first two books here, the duology itself, definitely only single point of view. And Shingen is adorable. I love her so much. So go read it, okay? Then we have another YA fantasy with a romance subplot. This one actually takes place in our world. However, it doesn't really touch society so much. It takes place in the woods. So, but we follow our lead girl whose name I believe is Iris. It is. Who's a witch. And she has kept her powers a secret. Obviously, she lives at this like wildlife refuge with her mom. Her mom knows, but nobody else at the refuge knows. And there's this guy called Pike who works there, and he hates witches. Anybody with magical powers is a no-no because who knows? But he has issues with the witches. And so he's also just, he has a bit of an attitude problem and kind of doesn't really get along with Iris that well. And they kind of bump heads a lot. And Iris gets a little bit annoyed. So one day, because Iris's way to deal with annoyances and stress in her life is to write out curses and then kind of just let them go. Like she just kind of, she doesn't do anything with them. She writes them and then just kind of lets them go. It's the best way I can describe it. Just like, there you go. Anyway, she writes one that is aimed at Pike, but nothing's supposed to come from it. It's just supposed to like get it out of her system and then just let it go. And unfortunately for her, when she writes it, after she writes it, she gets a little bit distracted and an owl swoops down and takes her note, or curse, and flies off with it. And this is very bad. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what this curse is, but it's very bad. And to make it worse, this owl as well is, what's the word for it? It's like an augmentation owl or animal or whatever. Basically what it does is that if something happens with this curse while it's in the possession of the owl, it'll affect everyone in a very big radius. And so Iris panics and she's like, shiz. I couldn't decide if I wanted to swear or not. She's like, shit. Okay, basically, she's like, shit. So I gotta take off and catch this owl so I can get back my curse and make sure that nobody gets hurt in the process. And so she does, and Pike decides to go with her, and it's about them having to work together in close proximity of each other, even though they don't necessarily get along, while finding this owl and also learning some things about each other. Oh, Pike doesn't know that she's a witch. Did I mention that? Sounds a bit awkward. It's fine. It's cute though, and definitely very single point of view. My book is so dirty. But yes, it was cute. Fast-paced, foresty, single POV. Then we have one, I have not read the sequels. I don't even think they're out. But for obvious reasons that I can't get into, this is very single POV. But I'm thinking that the sequels maybe duo, maybe. I can't tell you. I can't say. But I'm suspecting they might be. This one, however, is not. It's A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, which is an adult romantasy. So it's fantasy, but like heavy romance plot in there. We follow, also very inspired by Nordic mythology, because we got to do with the Norse gods a little bit at least. We follow Vikings and stuff like that. Cool, right? I love how Vikings are portrayed in modern media and stuff, because they were not like that at all. It's really funny, but I'm fine with it. It's cool. I like them. I like modern Vikings. They're fine. So in this one though, we follow our lead girl who is born with a drop of God's blood. Basically how this works is that certain gods and goddesses get in contact with humans and they decide, okay, we're gonna have a baby, so I'm gonna give you like a drop of blood, and that means you're gonna have like a little portion of my powers. And so her goddess in this case is Hlyn, who is a smaller goddess of protection. And so she's got a shield she can conjure and stuff like that. She's kept her power secret though, because I can't actually remember why, but there is a reason that she's kept her powers a secret though. She's also in a terrible marriage with this guy who sucks. And he essentially betrays our lead girl to the Jarl who then learns that she has this drop of power, and he's like, okay, you're gonna come with me. And our lead girl is like, nope, I am not, because my family is right here. But he's like, no, I own you now, so you're gonna come with me. Something happens to her husband as well, which I'm not really fully gonna say, but something happens to her husband. And our lead girl is also, after that, tied to this Jarl. The Jarl has a son who's also got a drop of God's blood. His is bound to Tyr, I think. Tyr? I think it was him. So he can like conjure like a fiery axe thing. It's a whole thing. He is basically tasked with the protection of our lead girl. The two of them don't get along at all though. Well, they don't get along at all. You know how it goes. And so it's about her being brought along with them because there's this prophecy that she's a part of that's going to, if it comes true, it's going to cause the Jarl to basically become like king of all the Vikings, king of the entire area. So he's very set on bringing her along, obviously, because he wants to be king of the Vikings. And born in fire, chosen by the gods, it was foretold she would unite a nation because she's the shield maiden, but unfated weave their own destiny, even if what they want is forbidden. And she wants him. I'm not talking about the Jarl, by the way. That's not the him. She's married to the Jarl, but she kind of wants a son. It's a little bit awkward, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, I'm excited for the sequel. I think, I hope that Fairy will announce their version soon because I need a matching one with this because I need my books to match. Anyway, we have another YA romantic. Well, I feel like it's a romantasy, but there's a lot of like politics, court intrigue in this, scheming, drama, fae drama. Fae courts in this, but the romance plot is definitely a big part of it because all this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the guy in this. So in The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, we follow Jude. It's written from her point of view as well. I don't recall there being a second point of view in any of the 3 books, and I think I'm correct about that because there's a lot of like what the heck moments that wouldn't be surprising if you knew what was going on in Carden's, I forgot what his name was for a second, in Carden's head. So like he's scheming the entire time, she's scheming the entire time, but like if you know what both of them are scheming about, you wouldn't be so surprised. So I'm pretty sure the entire trilogy is just from Jude's point of view. But she is a human living among fae, and the fae are not nice to humans. Like, you could be the prettiest human and you still would not compete with the fae. And they really put a lot of value on that. They see humans as kind of like disgusting in a way. Fair, I suppose. And so she's not having an easy time. There's this group especially that's like heavily bullying her. And Carden, the prince of the High King, the youngest prince of the High King, is a part of this group. He's not treating Jude very well. And so Jude basically sets out to, both she becomes like a helper of one of Carden's brothers, and she sets out to basically like, there's a quote which I feel summarizes especially the first book very well. It's like, well, oh, I thought for a second it was gonna be on the back of the book, but it's essentially like, well, if I can't be them, I'm gonna be worse than them. This is good though. Sharpen your blade, harden your heart. Of course I want to be like them. They're beautiful as blades forged in some divine fire. They will live forever. And Carden is even more beautiful than the rest. I hate him more than all the others. I hate him so much that sometimes when I look at him, I can hardly breathe. Anyway, but she's very set on getting powers because she feels very powerless in this fae court world that she doesn't feel welcome in. So it's basically like, I'm gonna be so much worse than you guys and take my power. I'm gonna find my power, fight for my power. So a lot of court politics, a lot of court intrigue, a lot of fae drama, and oh, a cute little, it's not cute necessarily, but a little fact. These fae can't lie, by the way, which I like. We should get more of that in fae books. Fae that can't lie. I love that. Because like the author kind of has to tiptoe around dialogue because of that and like the way that things are phrased and stuff. And it's so good. There's some sentences that Carden says that I'm like, I see why. Anyway, moving on. We have 9000 by Lee Bardugo, which is adult fantasy, but like set in our world, contemporary, also dark academia, and also a little bit scary at times, a little bit on the darker side. Definitely so good though. So I don't know why I said though. There's like dust in front of the camera. I don't know why I said though. So good. Full stop. A tale of power, privilege, dark magic, and murder set among the Ivy League elite. So in this one, we follow our lead girl, Alex Stern. It's written from her point of view as well. I'm pretty sure both this and the sequel. I haven't read the entire sequel yet, but I read the first 23%, and all of that is written from her point of view, as far as I can remember. But we follow Alex Stern, who has been through a very traumatic event in her life. And so she's dealing with that at the same time as she's dealing with the fact that she can talk to ghosts, which is not necessarily an ability that she's super happy to have. However, it does mean that this very secret group at the, is it Yale? It's Yale. At Yale is out to kind of recruit her because they need her to help them keep an eye on the secret societies of Yale. Because they're doing like magic, sometimes magic that they're not supposed to do. And this group keeps an eye on them and makes sure that they all stay in line and don't do that. And the fact that she can talk to ghosts and stuff is I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that. But as I'm saying it, I'm like, is that why? But anyway, regardless, she is in this group that is monitoring the secret societies of Yale to make sure that they don't do stuff that they're not supposed to do. And then one day, Alex Stern, while she's walking around campus, she comes across a dead girl. And Alex Stern is like, I know I should not get involved in this. It's too much for me at the moment, but I just cannot let it, like, I just can't not get involved in it. Especially because everyone's just like, oh yeah, it's just been an accident, like, that's fine, whatever. Alex is like, I don't think so. So she starts looking into it and she starts learning things about what's going on at Yale, and some people surprisingly are not as proper as they should be, and there's a lot of things going on with the secret societies and stuff like that. A lot of stuff going on in this one. I'm pretty sure I read the first one during a readathon, which when I think about it now, I'm like, how did you manage that? How? Anyway, it was really good though. It was really good. So, because Alex knows the secret societies are far more sinister and extraordinary than anyone ever imagined. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. And Alex Stern's like, no, we're not doing that here. So anyway, I still don't know how I have not read the sequel yet because it took forever for it to come out, which is fair. I don't rush authors to write sequels. I want the sequels to be proper, and so take your time. But I did wait a long time and I have not read it yet, which is it's a little bit crazy. It's like on the shelf up here. So anyway, a cute YA fantasy duology that I don't think I've mentioned for the longest time, but that I loved when I read it is Fable by Adrienne Young, in which we follow Fable. She is the daughter of like the pirate king, sort of. I think he has like a more specific title. The daughter of the most powerful trader in the Narrows. The sea is the only home she has ever known. But she's been left on an island by her father and basically forced to fend for herself and like find a way off the island as well. So it's basically about following her as she's trying to get off this island and also making friends, finding a crew, and also getting back to her father, but also everything else that happens in between. Only following her point of view, I think, but there's a guy as well. But I'm pretty sure there are no points of views or no chapters from his point of view. And Fable is adorable. We love her. It's great. It's like a little fast-paced. I say little because it's short, by the way. Not to diminish like the book itself. It's because it's short, as you can tell. That's why. So it's a little fast-paced fantasy book that you can read in like one day, and Fable is just cute. Welcome to a world made dangerous by the sea and by those who wish to profit from it, where a young girl must find her place and her family while trying to survive in a world built for men. Yes, West. Ooh, West isn't who he seems to be. That's the guy, by the way. I think she's known him for a bit when they start taking off on, spoiler alert, she gets off the island, by the way. It's not really a spoiler. Imagine the whole book took place on the island. No, but I think she's known West for a little bit, and then he's not who he seems to be. Everyone has secrets. Who knew? I've saved this one for last because I've not read the sequel yet, but I feel like it might be one of those instances where the sequels get duo point of views. Because it's another romantasy, and romantasy books with duo point of views are generally very popular, so authors tend to introduce more chapters from the romantic interests point of view as well when we get to the sequel. It's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, but I will recommend this one though because I loved it so much. It's also super shiny and it's gonna mess up with my lighting, so that's annoying. But anyway, we're gonna hold it like this, okay? In this one, it's adult romantasy. Kind of new adultish, but I think I'm just gonna like outface that term and just go with adult. And I know that some of, I've gotten comments before like, you don't have to say that it's adult, because by standard, books are adult unless stated otherwise, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm gonna say it anyway. So, romantasy though, I would say, but like heavy other stuff going on than just, I just don't think the plot itself would necessarily work without the romance plot, which is why I'm gonna call it romantasy. We follow our lead girl whose name is Violet. Is your name Violet? Violet Sorrengail. And she is supposed to be a scribe. So what scribes do is that they like process information or write down information and like save it for future usage. So she's supposed to be a little bit like the scholarly type. And then her mother, a few days or the day before this very dangerous trial that another quadrant has to go through, she's like, never mind, you're actually going to be a dragon rider. Good luck, because the dragon rider trials are not easy. They're very dangerous to go through. Violet has not trained for this at all. She is completely unprepared. She's supposed to be a scribe. She's not supposed to be a dragon rider, but her mother just does not care for some reason. Who knows? I don't know because I've not read the sequel. So don't tell me, okay? But I feel like her mother is slightly psychopathic, I'm not gonna lie. And so she's out, or it's like basically about her going through these trials while also dealing with people trying to kill her, while also dealing with, well, I need to bond with a dragon because otherwise I am not gonna get accepted into the quadrant and I might possibly die or get killed by other people again, or not again, but they're still trying to kill her. Especially, there's a guy who's trying to kill her. I was about to say especially this guy, but he's actually not, like, he's just quite clearly does not want her there. His name is Xaden, or Xaden with an X. So I don't know how to pronounce his name. Xaden. And he is a little bit of background information on this world. So it's run by obviously Violet's mother, or at least she's one of the people running the academy. And there's been this thing in the past with some rebels trying to overthrow a group of leaders. So the children of the rebels are kind of second rank a little bit. They're looked down on and like not respected and stuff. And this guy is, I'm pretty sure that he is supposed to be the son of like the rebel leader. So he's just all kinds of like, no. Because obviously she's the daughter of the commander and he's the son of the rebel leader. You see, we got two opposing factions right here. And he just does not want her there. Especially after he learns who she is. And so things are dangerous for Violet, but also dragons. So cool. People trying to kill each other. Drama. Anyway, it's great. It's not like, don't think like amazing literature and that, just full on entertainment. Okay, full on entertainment. We love it. And I still have not read the sequel. You can yell at me in the comments if you want to, it's fine. This one I'm including just as a bonus because I loved this book, but it does include these little, this is what I was trying to say. And I think it would be easier if I show you. What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez, which is a YA fantasy, also a little bit of historical fiction because it takes place like in our world, but like a while ago, in Egypt as well, which is so cool. And we follow our lead girl who gets a letter from her parents, or she gets a ring sent to her by her father. And then she learns either the next day or a couple of days after that her parents have gone missing. So she sets out to Egypt, a place where her parents went all the time to look at artifacts and stuff like that because they work as archaeologists or something in that field. She was never allowed to go for some reason. She was never allowed to go. And so she decides to actually go to Egypt to see if she can find her missing parents because, or they're actually told that she's dead, but our lead girl is like, no, they're not. They're just missing. I feel like this is not happening. I cannot live with this. I need to go and figure out what's happened. What's her name though? Yes, right, thank you. And so when she gets there, she is kind of just like sneaking her way in with her uncle's crew. Her uncle does not want her there. And her uncle also has this guy working for him as sort of like an assistant situation. Not really, but I don't know what title to give him though. He's a bit like a guard, but also an assistant, but also I don't know what to call him. And he's tasked with keeping an eye on Inez, but also kind of like trying to force her away. Like send her back to where she came from, which is, I can't remember. Was that London? I do not remember at all. 19th century Egypt, filled with adventure, arrivals to lovers. I don't think it's arrivals to lovers so much because they're not necessarily full-on rivals. Like they don't compete in any way, but they definitely do have like a little bit of like that vibe to them, that chemistry. It's just so good. I will say the first 20-30% of it a little bit slow, but it's also the first one in a trilogy, and then it just takes off and becomes so good. Loved it so much. So I really wanted to include this because the vast majority of the book is just from Inez's point of view. However, there's these little like post chapters. So the guy's called Wit, right? This is a very long one. He doesn't get full-on chapters from his point of view, but he does get little inserts after some of the chapters, not all of them. He just has like a little, like you see him meeting up with someone or giving some background information. He has like a page here as well. But usually they're very short. I think some of the longer bits from his point of view is like a page, 1.5 pages, but usually it's just like a little. Oh, there's also drawings in this, by the way. Yay, we got drawings and stuff. Like usually it's a lot like this, you know, just like a comment or a few comments, or like he's watching someone, you know, so it's not like a whole lot. And so I feel like it's okay to include this in. It's not a full-on single point of view, but the vast majority of the book is, and it's very clear when you just get a little bit from his point of view. So, and it's so good. I feel like if you want to like dabble in dual point of views, go in with this one. I think it would work for you. So I decided to include it as a bonus, which is why there's 11 books, not 10 in this video. But that is all I got, which is perfect because I feel like I'm losing my voice as well. It's definitely gone downhill since we started this video. If you want to check out any of these books, because I know that my summaries get a little bit all over the place, I will leave links to them to both Amazon and also Waterstones, so you can go read the descriptions there. Just follow the links in the description box. But these are all me approved. I loved every one of them, otherwise I would not recommend them to you. Oh, it's been so nice just coming back and talking about books. I've missed recording and talking about books. I'm so tired of being sick. It sucks. It's so boring. But anyway, that is all I got for you guys today. So if you've read any of these books, leave your opinions on them. If you want to share them, whether they're positive or negative, I don't care. Just feel free to share opinions. I want to read what you have to say. But that is all I got for you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, but also all the other booktube stuff, definitely consider sticking around by clicking on the subscribe button. However, that is all I got for you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Oh, you know you're beautiful, and it's like